Um, I was hoping that next week they could start the three-dimensional miniature model of how they would organize a stage of the selected musical, but I also need to coordinate with the theater arts teacher, the one that is in charge of the musical, to see if she really will need our help. So if she doesn't need our help, we could continue with that, because we could ask them to think of any of the musicals that have a chance for them to recreate shoes or come up with interesting ideas. Maybe could be The Lion King, where we could apply your lesson to and connect it to what they have already done. But it's gonna depend. I cannot tell you right now when we can start, because I need to talk to Miss Susu.
Okay, so maybe we could also think about another class just in case. So is there another class that you think I could start with a project with any of these, or?
Remember that I said also the idea of paper, the collage. You had a very good suggestion of the lesson, relief sculpture painting. That could be one related to collage, because we talked about Frank Stella, and it could be.
And that could be for 7th, or?
It's that grade? Actually I teach both grades the same, because some students
7th and 8th grade, the same? Or?
Yes, they switch from sculpture to art, so they never get really the same. And I also change the lessons from semester to semester, so you don't have to worry about that. What we do with 7th grade sculpture, we do with 8th grade sculpture. And also have a class that they are mixed, like the one we had today. But you also mentioned the one about the tunnel.
The tunnel book?
I would connect both. I would do the tunnel and then this.
So first start
because
with the tunnel.
we can start flat, and then we can start adding this illusion of that, and then they can play around with the forms. The expectations I have are for students to develop a creative work based on some requirements and informations about a certain topic that I'm giving, and they should be recording all these projects and research in their digital portfolio. And the expectations are to be respectful with other people's work, respectful towards their work by trying their best. What is valued in my class is the effort and the interest they are putting in each of their projects, and the way I see that happen is because I am constantly checking that they are really working and trying to do their best in each of the activities.
Okay. Do you have like a routine that you follow, like throughout the lessons?
Yeah, but I also change routines. Usually what we do is we start by reviewing what we did last class or what we have been doing as a unit. I ask questions that I want them to keep them in their knowledge baggage, and then I ask them to start working and hopefully do a good job also leaving things organized for the next class.
So kids who are still learning English, so how do you differentiate for them?
First option to repeat the information as many times as possible using visual aids or mimics or connecting with something they have experienced, trying to see which ones are their interests, help them by demonstrating what they can do, how they can do it, give examples, also maybe allowing them to work together, look at somebody else's project and take ideas but try to make them with a different point of view. So giving them lots of different choices to develop their ideas the best way possible.
Okay.
And start always with small things, like I always try to show a technique or a theme with a basic thing, and then I go little by little adding, so they feel they manage this and they can later on put off their own experience, and they see what others are doing, and that way they enrich their own work. So I'm trying always to give them tools and to give them a lot of formative assessment and positive comments. The standards that I expect from my students are for them to experiment with materials, to use different techniques, to expand their knowledge, finding out in any of the different courses more about a theme by learning the history behind it or the materials that were developed in order to create this kind of work, to have actual events that are part of these topics, and to make it really practical and alive.
Here is the rubric that you will be kind of looking at when you're evaluating me, and they have it divided into like 3 sections. So first video that you will be evaluating, you will be looking at standard 1, 2, 3. So it's the learner and the learning. So if you look here, it talks about learner development. The teacher understands how learners grow and develop, recognizing that patterns of learning and development vary individually within and across the cognitive, linguistic, social, emotional, and physical areas, and designs and implements developmentally appropriate and challenging learning experiences. So that's standard 1. So you watch me, or you can watch the video and just put one of these, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And it says exactly here, like, did this person do this or not? So if you put proficient or basic, you can tell me why you put that. I feel like you can improve on this area. Maybe you could, because it says exactly what I am supposed to do. Standard 2, it says learning differences. So the teacher uses understanding of individual differences and diverse cultures and communities to ensure inclusive learning environments that enable each learner to meet high standards. So like you said before, the way you do it is you provide them with a lot of tools and choices for them to make, and in that way they get motivated and they can really take advantage of what they're learning, right?